Oh,
Damn,
damn.
man.
I am in Oceanside, California.
And what do you do there?
Um, Working, bro. Just
I
same as you guys.
No, that's what it's. I think that's kind of amazing because what are you doing? You're going to like the stab in the dark thing tonight.
Yeah. So Billabong, they're involved in all that stuff. So I'm doing Stab in the Dark. I'm gonna go there tonight for Billabong and see the new premiere of that. And then I was here all week. They had sales meetings, so like all their reps are here. So I'm kind of hanging out, flying the Billabong flag for those guys. And then had some like design meetings earlier in the week about product stuff that I'm working on with them. And so yeah, just super busy, just doing my thing. And then I go to Mexico Saturday for 3 days to go surfing, and then I'll be home.
Sick, man.
Are you going to like the points?
No, I'm going to a place I've never heard of, ever.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going like so. I'm
We don't
going
have
to. I'll give you a hint. There's zero chance you're gonna know where it is. I'm going to a place in Mexico that has an artificial reef. Well, I will say this: it's technically like a man created wave that is 150 yards long.
Oh,
sounds like a wave
Yeah.
pool.
And I'm excited to go and I'm excited to go see it and ride it. I'm all fired up. So I'm psyched to go get some warm water and ride some waves with good people.
Sick. Yeah, we actually planned ahead. I put an Apple tag in your board bag, so I kind of know. Ashton was here and he spied and he planted the Apple tag in your
Yeah, dude.
bag.
Yeah.
Exactly where you're going, dude. No, that's cool, man. That's good. Have you seen the first episode of
Hey, you
Saving It
guys are
Up?
supposed to have your phones on silent, bro.
it's Absent. That's our producer. That's your guy.
Producer, producer. No, did you see episode 1 of the Stab in the Dark with
I
Ethan?
did. Yeah, I thought it was super good. I thought I Ethan was surfing kind of bad, but no, he was insane. Like he obviously he was surfing out of his skin, but he made the boards look insane. And then I thought he came across really well. Like I've never seen him look super comfortable on camera, and I felt like he looked really relaxed and like super like he was really happy to be there and having a great time. It was super fun.
That's kind of what I thought too. He was like like when he was articulating the boards, I felt like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
he knows exactly what he's talking about.
for sure. I just like it when I wish he was like a little not so nice. It would be kind of cool to be like this board's rubbish, mate. Like he's sick.
It's so hard. How do you just like crush someone's dreams though? Because it just could be some
Jordy did
random.
it.
Yeah, true. If you did it? Would you be like that? Would you be ruthless, or how would you do it?
I'm terrible, man. I know that like those shapers, it's like their baby. It's like their creation that they put all their love and heart and soul into. So if you tell them their board sucks, it's like, I mean, it's gut wrenching. I think to that. I think they're really like, they have really fragile egos. I mean, like all of us, but I feel like shapers specifically, like you could, Jack, like you could ride a board and love it, and I could ride a board and hate it, and it could be the same board.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean the board's bad, but like if Jordy says your board sucks and you're digging rails all over the place, like man, that would crush your ego.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, that's why it's like, how do you find it like in yourself to be so ruthless? I'm like, it's hard. I
Hard,
would have.
but it makes for
Yeah,
a good show.
it does because it's
Yeah,
truthful.
yeah,
Well, I think it depends on the surfer criticizing the board. Like,
Yeah.
if I told like Darren his board sucks, he'd be like, no, 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 you suck.
yeah, totally.
Shit.
Are we already rolling, you guys? Are we about to start?
Now we're rolling,
Dude,
man.
we know your time's valuable. We're on.
Okay,
We're going.
cool.
And I know you're between like 3 other surfing jobs that you're still doing.
I know it's very strange,
They're like,
strange times.
yeah, we actually had Tori on recently, and he actually gave us sick insight. I don't know if you ever remember this story, but he was saying that you pulled him up once when he was like younger.
12, like you're
12.
13.
Yeah, so you would have been like right in the pinnacle of like championship tour surfing, like Shane Dorian, like I think you might even been going for a world title
It
around
was like one of your peaks.
one of your peaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, even you don't really stop with your peaks. It just keeps going like
Moving mountains.
yeah, it's kind
Tell
of
me
like
more. Tell me more.
But he was saying that you brought him in and you kind of were giving him the what about professional surfing and what to expect and what you should, and you did a pie graph. I don't know if it's true or you can remember it, but he was saying, like, I don't know, Albie can chime in, but he was saying that there was a pie graph that you did, and a large chunk of that was like based around media. And I thought that was like super important, like a really cool takeaway. I was like, wow, how did Shane? You'd seem like you were kind of like ahead of the grain. Like
Yeah,
you
but he also said that the competition, even though this was probably when you were like
really
going for a world
world
title,
title,
was a
yeah,
very small sliver.
really small sliver.
Huge thing in media, and then like I forget the other categories, but that was the one that stood out. Was like you made media the biggest by far.
Yeah, I think I had that. I think I remember that conversation with Tori, and it was like he was super young and, he surfed so well and he was just purely focused on his surfing, which is what you want to be doing. And of course, it's like boring to talk about, playing the game, but, in order to have like longevity in surfing, like you need to understand value. And like you need to not look at it from your perspective. You got to look at it from if a brand is sponsoring you or if you have a brand partnership, you have to look at what's valuable for the brand. And I was trying to explain to Tori, like, if you look at it from their point of view, you need to look at Tori's value from their point of view. And that'll give you a lot of clarity on what will stoke them out, what will move the needle for the people who are sponsoring you, which you always want to be aware of,
How'd you figure that out? How did you get to that? Because I feel like no one at specifically that time was like thinking about that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
everyone else it seemed like they're just like, oh, if I win a world title, everything
Yeah,
else falls into
yeah,
place.
that's kind of seemed like the logic back then.
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably asked a lot of questions. So like when
Yeah.
I've been lucky to be sponsored for a long time, but I would ask my marketing manager or my boss, I would be like, hey, how can can you help me understand how I can move the needle for Billabong or for Yeti or whoever I'm writing for, right? I want to know what moves the needle for that company. Like if those guys are giving me money to represent their brand, I want to know how to stoke them out. So when it's time to renegotiate my contract, it's a no-brainer. I want them
Yeah.
to go, wow, Shane is like, we cannot get rid of him. Like we need to get rid of everyone else before that one person. And like, how do you become that person who's like not expendable is the whole key. And understanding the value of an investment, if you're on the brand side of things, I think that's important. So I don't know. I always thought about, it's probably boring to the listeners are like, what is this guy talking about? Um,
Oh, genius, man.
but I mean, it's not like a secret to think like that, really. Like,
No,
if someone's giving you money to go surfing, you have to wonder why, you know?
yeah,
That's a fucking quote.
that is
I like
really
that a
cool.
lot.
Yeah, that. Do you think it's still the same? Do you think it's still the same as it is today than what it was back then too?
Yeah, more so. I mean, it is the same thing, but like, like look at Nathan Florence. Like,
Yeah.
he surfs a lot, but the amount of time that he's actually surfing, even though it is quite a lot, relatively speaking, he spends a lot of time telling his story in an authentic way, right? He's having a blast telling his story. Like that's why it resonates with people, right? Because it's really authentic. He's having the greatest time of his life and he's sharing that with everybody. And it resonates with people because fuck, he's living everybody's dream. He's traveling the world surfing epic waves with the only people he's only surfing with the people he wants to surf with. He's not doing anything he doesn't want to do. And it's just, man, it's like magnetic, right? And I think he gets it. Like, I just feel like he sees the other side of things. He sees value. Um, he sees what he knows what people want to see. He knows what the brands that he works with find a ton of value in.
Mhm.
And then there's certain people who don't get it that surf incredibly well, but just don't go out of their way at all to understand how they can add value to themselves for the long term. But I mean, it's really difficult, like it's funny because I'm 53 years old, dude, and I have brand partnerships still. Like it was wild. And so like, I don't know. I just try to learn as I go and suck up as much information as I can and try to like gain knowledge where I can. And then when there's younger guys like Tori who ask me for advice, I try to be honest with them.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest part is like you're sharing all this information. You're not just keeping it to yourself. Yeah, which you
I've
easily
actually
could.
been, yeah, yeah.
Would. And a lot of people would, but you're like sharing it with the youth, which I think is insane. And I think a lot of people should like listen to this and be like, whoa, this is super insightful.
I
How
appreciate
would
that,
you
you guys. Thank you.
if your life wasn't as good as Nathan Florence's?
Pardon me?
How would you go about it if you like didn't have all the freedom of Nathan Florence?
Get working, dude.
I mean, he
Yeah,
didn't
but like
always have that. He kind of
that's
created that
the thing.
freedom. That's kind of my point. Is he created Nathan Florence. Like if you rewind the years, Albie, if you rewind the years, he was literally John's little brother.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah, I remember.
the only
Right?
reason anybody who knew who Nasty Nate was is because he was literally John's brother, and he was tagging along on surf trips that John's sponsors had to pay for Nathan to go on. And
Yeah,
like reluctantly, they didn't want to do that. They were like, we
yeah,
sponsor John, so we have to sponsor his brothers. Literally,
yeah,
like that's the reality of Nathan Florence. He flipped it, dude, and he's just as valuable in 2026 as his brother is. And that is
yeah,
like, that is self-made, dude. He's self-made, and that's through super hard work, but like being super strategic, and also being like, he's really good at like, I don't know how to explain it, but he's really good at authentically telling his story. He's unafraid to
yeah,
like, he's unafraid to like be himself. He's unafraid to like be silly and show his personality. He's not afraid of people calling him kooky for surfing in head to toe lycra. He's not afraid to be called a kook for having a vlog or a YouTube channel and like doing selfie videos with a GoPro. Like there's a lot of things he does that like a lot of people are like too cool for. And he just created his own niche straight up. And like it resonates with people because he's having the fucking time of his life, you know?
That is true. Yeah, I personally would, I completely agree with you. I know he's probably invested so much time and money in like on the investment on himself.
Yeah. He's also really smart. He's
yeah.
also
Like,
really smart to where he actually is making the thing about Nathan I think is rad is like he's not always trying to get brands to pay for things. Instead, he flips it and he's investing in himself and his own trips and then creating tons of content that has crazy value for the brands he works with. And so he's like kind of flipping the model around to where they're super fired up to have him on his program, but he's owning all his own content. He's owning all his own channels, his own distribution, his own platforms. And then it
yeah,
makes it's like exponential growth for the value of the brands he's
yeah,
working with. So when it's time for one of his companies to like renegotiate with him, he's like, dude, like let's look at the metrics real quick. Like
Yeah, he's
my
felt
reach
this.
is double all of the rest of your whole team combined. And
yeah.
that's not, he didn't get lucky at all. That is
No,
like a lot of hard work. He pushed that thing uphill for quite a long time. And here he is, you know what I mean? I'd say he's like the perfect example of hard work plus great strategy equals great results, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like you'd fall into that category too, man. You work so hard. There's like one of the things I was thinking about was there a point in like your competitive surfing career when you were like going for world titles? Was there ever a point when you kind of that like the transition into free surfing big? Was there ever like was there like an aha moment when you were like competing like with that transition where you're like, oh, I can turn this into a whole different like a whole different job, a whole different career?
Yes and no. You know, I mean, Albie knows he was there when I started going through that, but like essentially, I was competing fully 100% focused on the world tour. Like I was like an Ethan Ewing or like a Kuno Igarashi, like not to like make myself on their level, but like that was me. That's all I did was care about trying to win a world title and compete all year long. And then all of a sudden I just found myself uninspired and I felt myself about to start slipping down the ratings because the younger guys were really good and they were coming up super quick and I could see the writing on the wall. And I was like, I wasn't enjoying myself in competitions. And I was like, I wasn't surfing as good in heats as I did free surfing. So I'm like, shit, I really want to like I'm not meeting my potential. And
yeah,
so I started taking a step back and going, okay, I really want to surf to my potential. How can I do that? Right. And I always loved surfing big waves. And I'm like, I honestly, and this is sounds super weird telling you guys this, but I was like, I really think that I could be the best big wave rider on the planet. And I was like, I'm like skillful and I know what I'm doing in like big waves and I've always loved it, but I've never 100% focused on it and I've never had the time. And so I started thinking about that. And then I went to the brands I went to Billabong, I went to like my sponsors and said, hey, I'm uninspired on the tour. I don't want to do it any longer. I want to do a couple big projects, like a film project, work with a couple other guys that I really want to work with, like guys that are off the tour now that I wanted to do films with. And then I also want to like really focus on becoming the best big wave surfer on the planet. And like, I want to start paddling Jaws. I want to go to Nazare. I want to go to Chopo when it's huge. I want to do all these different things and create content instead of like grinding in 1 foot waves in the tour. Um, and so that was my plan B. That was my real plan A, to be honest. But Albie was there like that. He was there, or like when he was like a little kid and I started surfing Jaws when he was out there. That was like right at the very start when I got really, really into it. So, yeah, I mean, I never really thought about like being strategic about it from a career standpoint, to be honest. I just was uninspired surfing in contests. I just got burnt.
You're just following passion at that point.
Yeah, but I honestly didn't know if it was going to be successful and I was going to have like a gnarly career extension. I just wanted to do something where to be totally honest with you guys, I just was like, I'm not hitting my surfing potential. I'm surfing in heats at like 60%. I wasn't like Felipe Toledo, where, you
Yeah.
know, when you watch Felipe Toledo surf down the beach before his heat, and then he goes into his heat, he surfs better in his heat. I could never do that. And
Yeah.
so Felipe, like, no wonder he's on tour for so long. He's doing his greatest surfing in a jersey. I could never do that. I just didn't have the capacity. And so I just felt bummed about that. There's something in my mind that just wasn't satisfied. And I'm like, fuck, I think I can go surf like 50-foot Jaws and get barreled. And that is my potential. You know,
Yeah.
that's like the top of the mountain for me. Like surfing in a jersey and getting a couple 7.5s in a heat, that's not my top of the mountain. I want to go and get like crazy barrels, push myself, scare the shit out of myself, train crazy hard, get in nuts physical condition and try to like really push myself. And feel like I'm like on the edge. Like I want to live on the edge for a while. And so that's kind of like that's how I shifted my focus.
How many years was it from when you stopped doing the tour to when we started paddling Jaws?
Probably
Because that
5 years. So I stopped in 2004. 2005 I think was my last year and I just did 5 events that I wanted to do on tour. And then I started like going to Chopo for toe swells. Um and then I started just surfing. Like I went on a bunch of like big wave trips for Billabong, went to
uh-huh.
Cortez Bank and did this thing. And then the first time I paddled Jaws, I think was 2009 or 2010. So it was like
Yeah.
4 years later.
Okay.
Which
And
is crazy. There's some crazy cool stories around that too.
yeah.
Like in the introduction to you guys paddling.
I
Like,
want to hear your version of when that idea became a reality. Because I remember what I remember.
For paddling Jaws?
Yeah. How long ago did that seed get planted in your head? Because that's like the craziest thing that I like a story that's not told enough to be like, Brett. I mean, you kind of mentioned it. I remember listening to you in Sterling's podcast, but how beat into the media it was that this is impossible. Like,
Yeah.
this is impossible. Like, that's all I ever knew growing up. And I was just like, and I remember the first time I ever had that thought, it was like after seeing Marcio paddle a big lap. I was like, why the fuck does everyone say this is impossible?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know when that thought creeped into your head.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's funny because Ian, so when I quit doing the tour, I started towing Jaws a lot with Ian Walsh. And at the time, like there was no paddling Jaws when it was big. You couldn't, there was like 60 tow teams out there, literally. And nobody was trying to like allow you to paddle. It was like they were trying to cock block you from paddling.
Yeah.
I'd like, as you know, Alps. Um,
Yeah.
and you know, I remember towing with Ian and we'd watch the footage, like we would watch footage of Jaws beforehand, like trying to like kind of like daydream about how we could surf Jaws. We'd watch like Laird surf it on video, and then we watch video footage and slow the wave down and see where you could stall and get barreled and all these stuff. And then we started going, dude, imagine being there on a like a 10-0 or a 10-6 right there, like slowing it down and be like, I think you could get an entry right there. And we started thinking about it over and over and over. And I told Ian, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna order a board to try to paddle Jaws. And then we just started kind of kicking that idea around. And I had a 10-6 made that was a quad. It was a John Carper. And I said, I want to make this board literally exclusively for Jaws. Like think only about Jaws when you make this board. So I want to basically make me a board that's like, imagine Sunset Beach is like 60 feet and it's a quad. I never rode a quad ever in my life. So I had to make me a 10-6 quad that was kind of heavy. Um, and it was super beefy, like really beefy. And I just was like, I need to get a board that's giant and fast and paddles really well and has like that straighter rocker. And I had it made, and I told Ian, I said, I'm having a board made now, dude. You should get a board made. Let's try to paddle it. And at the same time, like, um, there was a it was kind of it was kind of nearing the end of the year. It was like February or something. And and there was a swell on the way, and I had a hunting trip planned with like 5 really good friends. We were going to go to Maui for hunting. And I had a super important hunting trip planned with like my best friends. And we were going there as this swell was coming for Jaws. And it was like a good medium sized paddle swell. And I think Scion, Ian, Greg Long, and maybe a couple other, like 1 or 2 other people paddled that first swell.
Healy did,
And
I think,
I
right?
freaking missed it, dude. I did. I missed a swell. And I talked to Ian like that night, and he's like, dude, we got like good waves. Like we fully caught good waves, and there was no one towing. We surfed by ourselves. He's like, I cannot wait for the next session. He's like, I'm already ordering a quiver. I'm ordering more boards. It's on. Like, I'm so excited. And I felt so left out and so envious, but super excited because I already had the board. I was ready to go. And then like somehow a week later, there was another even better Jaws swell on the I can send you guys a picture of my very first Jaws wave I ever paddled. It's one of the biggest waves I've ever caught in my life. And so a week later, I'm on a flight back to Maui to go surf Jaws. Ian picks me up. We go and I wax my board. I get it all finned up. I get it all ready to go. I got my suit. It was the first day I ever, so the first day I ever paddled Jaws was the first day I ever had one of those inflatable
Yeah.
suits. Yeah, I had the first prototype. And so I had no idea what to expect. And I was like, it's on, dude. I have to eat shit because I have to feel what it's like, right? And me and Ian go out on the ski. It's like 9 a.m. And I was like, I'm just gonna watch it for like an hour. But I hate jet skis. I hate being on them. I get seasick. So I hopped off the jet ski. I'm waxing my board, and I there was like a little current like sucking me out. And I just got further and further away from the ski. And next thing I know, I was like where the wave is like spitting. And then all of a sudden I was like somehow kind of close to the lineup. And there was nobody paddling. There was 2 tow teams surfing. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm already in the lineup. I'm just gonna paddle out a little bit. I ended up being further out than the inside bowl. It was like in between the very outside and the inside bowl or the west bowl. And I'm sitting there and a huge set starts coming and everyone on the skis starts screaming. This is so weird. Like it's weird thinking about it and remembering it because it like makes the hair on my neck stand up. Because I was terrified. I didn't know I'd never caught a wave out there paddling.
You're by
And
yourself.
no shit, like a 25-foot wave comes in. And I go up the first wave, it's like an 18-footer. And because there's huge sets and everyone's screaming. And I'm just thinking, I just need to get over all these waves, right? And there's 2 tow teams, and there's a guy on the wave, and he's towing, and he's like 100 yards out from me, and he sees me, and he kicks out and goes, "Go, go, go!" And I'm sitting there on my brand new 10.6 with like fresh wax and like a suit that I have no idea even if it works. And it's like no shit, it's proper 25-foot wave, proper. I'll
Uh,
send you guys a text later, and I was like in the perfect spot. And I just was like, well, I guess I have to try. And I put my head down and I somehow like Albie, you know how you guys both surf Jaws. Like it is so hard to be in the perfect spot for a giant wave. I was in the perfect spot on the first wave I ever caught out there. I put my head down and just started paddling, and my board was like a freaking rocket ship. I somehow was like perfectly in the spot, perfect drop, like a textbook drop, little feather takeoff. I was like way up on the front of my board. My board just felt like magic carpet, like instantly. Came off the bottom fully, like didn't track going straight. Set my edge halfway down, started bottom turning. Giant, like a big pocket ride. I wasn't deep in the barrel, but it's a humongous 25-foot wave, and I was fully in the pocket. And then I got like that steep coming down, like out of it. And I got like it was like speeding behind me, and I rode the wave like right to Ian Walsh's um jet ski, and we just like hugging and all excited, and we both went back out, and then we ended up catching like I don't know, we each caught like 10 waves that session. It was like a magic session. There was like Carlos Burley was out there. I think Kai Lenny was out there. I don't know if you were out there, Albie. I think it was maybe before you were out there. Greg Long was out there.
I
Um,
watched Beach.
yeah, and that was the first time I ever surfed it. But man, it's like imprinted in my brain. But that was my thinking. I was excited to try, and then I got a board made, and then that first session came that those guys got. Um, uh, Danilo Couto got a really good wave on that first session that I missed, giant right. Um, and then I was like, man, I had crazy FOMO that I missed that first swell. That I say the first swell. There was guys paddling before I was paddling, and before our whole crew was paddling, but not at that scale, not at that the
Not
size of
even.
Jaws. All of a sudden,
That's
that
it.
we were paddling, it was totally different for sure.
So what was okay? So you're out the back. No one's really. It's incredibly new paddling Jaws, the rides especially. What was going through your brain when that moment happened, where you're like, "Oh my goodness, I am in the spot. I've been like thinking about this for so long. I'm in the spot. I've got this board. I've got the suit. I've got everything." Like, what was going through your brain?
I was excited but fearful, and not a lot to be honest. But I'll tell you what, Jack, I kicked out of that first wave, and I was like, it is on. It is on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it is all the way on. Like I was breathing fire like you would not believe. Like you imagine like Billy at like a 10 out of 10. That's how I was. I was like, there was wakes coming off my board, paddling back out to the line, and there was nobody in the water, literally, not a single person paddling. I was paddling like white water was coming off my board. I could not wait. I wanted the biggest wave of the day. I was so fired up. But I was like younger, right? I was like, I don't know what I was. I would have been like 30, 35 years old, 38 years old. I was like in really good physical shape and really like surfing a ton at that time, surfing really heavy waves. And so I like wanted it super bad. And then all of a sudden it was like delivering. And I was like, I felt like I had my equipment was right. My mindset was right. My physical fitness was right. And that swell was insane. Like, man, it was a really good day. And like, it just was like one of those by far one of the most memorable days and most memorable sessions of my whole life for sure.
That's what I was going to say. Like, where does that rank in your like whole surfing career?
Dude,
Where does that one moment rank?
that's in the top 5 sessions of my life for sure. Maybe in
Did
the
you
top 3.
did
Yeah.
you know immediately like okay like this like because I mean as a spectator and someone who or like was there because I remember the first time I saw that session where like Danilo caught the wave and then we had a session and but the first time I ever paddled it I borrowed Marcio's board and there was like a medium day in between those two the day
Yeah.
you went and got the big one and I got like my first like 12 almost maybe 15 footer and I was just like I remember kicking out of that wave and it like obviously nothing like your wave at the time. I was very, very early days for me. I was like 18 or something or 19. But I remember just being like, oh fuck, I'm burning my toe boards. Like, fuck that. Like, and I just like, is that how you felt? Like you're just like, oh, like because there was like this weird thing where it's like, Jaws is our like home, even though like you're big on, but it's still your home. And it's just like it wasn't ours for a while because of the circus. And it was just like I just remember thinking like, oh, it's gonna be ours again. Like, I don't know, like what was your like did you ever think it was gonna be a towing thing again?
No, I was like, this changes everything. That's what I kept telling myself. I was like, this changes literally everything. It all changed today?
Is it because you broke that narrative? Like it kind of feels like you guys broke the narrative. Like, okay, Jaws is not just paddleable. I mean, not just tow. You can paddle this.
Yeah, and obviously it's when it's windy, it's not like that. Like you
Yeah.
need it needs to be big and fairly light winds out there in order for you to paddle it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change it like when it's super windy trade winds, it's still just a tow wave. But
I don't think so.
I was thinking like, okay, dude, I'm like fully wanting it to be bigger right now. And it was like a well over 20 feet. And I was thinking, I just caught the biggest wave of my life. First wave I ever caught out here. Like, what does the next 5 years do? Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
be over here on every swell. I'm going to get like 5 more boards made just like this. I'm going to get like 10 more suits. I'm like on. Like, I was like so excited. I couldn't wait to, I honestly, what I really wanted, I had this vision of catching like the best wave of my life and having Laird and Derek Donor and all those guys sitting in the channel on a jet ski watching.
That's the same dream, but different crews over the years.
That's so good.
I've had so many moments when, like, especially because tow teams have started coming back out there, or in the last couple of years, where I see someone towing on a wave, even if it's Kai, because he always tows in the mornings now. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm 5 times more likely to go on this wave if someone's trying to tow it.
yeah, for sure. It's
I
cool
still
though. Like it's cool though because that same window of time, like Albie was super young. Albie, you were probably like 16, right? During that time,
which when we started paddling,
17,
I was 18 when we started when you guys started
18.
paddling.
But like you guys were like you and Kai and Billy were like kids, dude. Like I
Yeah.
remember
18,
I
19.
remember being out there on those first sessions, like so like the next few sessions after that, like you guys were out there every single time, and I remember going, "This is so sick!" Like these kids are like young and they're already freaking psyching. They got big boards, they want the good waves, they're all fired up, they're all excited, and they got a little posse. Like it was so sick. It was like I think it's very unusual. I think in big wave surfing where you got a young up and coming posse that all hangs together, is pushing themselves, and then you also have like older mentors like Ian and I were older, and like Greg Long and Twiggy and like all these older guys who kept coming over for all the jaws swells. We're like, I felt like we were super encouraging and not like we weren't like, no, I don't think I ever felt threatened by you or Kai or Billy or even Ian, like all the younger guys. I was so excited that there was like this fresh energy and all these young guys coming up surfing Piahi. You know, I just thought it was sick.
Well, I was kind of talking about that with Jack on our first one. It was just me and him. It was like it's so much different than it is now because it was like a moon mission where we were all together on it, like it wasn't because it was so new and we were so like remember so like there was those couple swells the first year, and it was the end of the year. And then there was like a summer where it was like all any of us talked about because everyone had got a couple waves and we are like, holy shit, what is possible? And there was like that, 5 months, 6 months or whatever, and everyone ordered boards. Everyone got excited. And then there was it was like January 4th, 2012, I think it was the first day where we all paddled out. And there was like 50 of us or something. It was like kind of a shit show, but we all paddled out and no one knew if we were going to catch a wave though, because it was like the swell was forecasted to be bigger. Like that day you caught that huge wave was fucking huge, but
Yeah.
I feel like this swell had way more hype around it. You know how it is, like the first swell of the year always has more hype.
Yeah.
And I just remember that though, like it's so funny to think about back on it now because like we weren't like no one was stressed about the crowd because there's 50 guys out, but we were all going like on this moon mission together in a
Yeah.
way. I mean that dynamic changed kind of quick, but like, do you remember that day? Because you got a couple of huge ones, and then Wassel got like the one big one he went straight on that he like won biggest wave. There's
Yeah.
a couple crazy guys, and then that was the first time I snuck a West Bowl barrel and realized that was my home.
Yeah. I remember that. And you're right. It was like, even though there was quite a few of us out there, I remember that day there was a ton of waves actually. There was like a lot of waves being ridden. And it was like, I don't know, it was like so early that like everybody was so fired up about like everybody getting good waves. Like I said, it wasn't like, I don't know, you go out to Mavericks and there's a lot, or even like Waimea or all these other waves. And like, there's like this weird pecking order deal and like a lot of egos in the lineup. And you get that at Jaws too. But I felt like those early sessions, like there was like just this electric energy that was like, we were so stoked that we could paddle it. Like we were all paddling. We all were there together. It was even Steven. There wasn't like one guy on a jet ski that had like pulled rank over everybody. It was like we were all out there. And if a killer wave came and somebody wanted it, they were going. It was terrifying, but that person really wanted it. They're in the spot, they're going. And I don't know, it was just really exciting. It was super fun. It was like I'm really, really grateful that I was around and excited and involved in that era of big wave surfing because I feel like historically speaking, we'll look back at that handful of years, like that 5-year period as super pivotal and historic in like 50 years. Like honestly, like I
Right.
feel super grateful to be part of that like nucleus of people that were all psyched at that same time.
Yeah, and it was like the freaking chalkboard got erased and everyone was starting from scratch again. And it was like so cool to be a part of that.
And you moved the
Yeah.
needle so far along.
Yeah,
That
I mean, and then you've instantly got you were pretty quick to rise to the top of that where it became your thing. Were you tripping out that it was like, because for you, you quit the tour to become the best big wave surfer, and like you were obviously one of the best, but then like that movement happening at that time was like a divine thing in the world of shade. Like I've never seen something like in all my years of surfing, like there's a few times where I'm just like, oh, that happened exactly when it should have and was like almost made for that person.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just some things in life, like you have good timing, and I don't know how to say that any better, but yeah, I think my timing was good with quitting the tour. My timing was good with like my I guess my goal of surfing really big waves was right. I was right on with that. Because it was like the perfect timing. And then also like I was already like friends with Ian. I was always already going to Maui. I was already excited about like getting a big board made for Jaws like soon after that. Yeah, just like all these things kind of came together and like yeah, it worked out really well for me, to be honest. And from a career standpoint, like looking back, like I feel like the era of me surfing big waves is like definitely a highlight of my whole surfing
Yeah.
career. Like I spent like 12 years of my life chasing contests around and doing, surfing and contests all year. But like I feel like the real like impact that I had is maybe say on the surf world, looking back on it, was definitely surfing really big waves. So I'm psyched that I was so active during those years for sure. And it
It
was
felt
really
like
good.
for me, like watching your career, it was like you did so good in the big wave career after your world tour career that it almost overshadowed your world tour career because
For sure.
you were such a like a sick competitive surfer. Like I can remember watching when I was warming up for Bells, I was watching you and Sunny. Like, that's the videos I was watching, like on how to surf.
Classic.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people that
I'm really lucky. I was able to have a full second act. You know what I mean? So I'm
yeah.
stoked for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't feel like that, if that makes sense. It just always felt like you were top tier. You just had this grateful shift into just like this awesome shift into like, okay, he was like one of the best competitive surfers of our now he's one of the best,
I
if not
mean,
the best big wave
it's
surfer.
I mean, it's when it from the outside, it's like it looks really like the transition super smooth and all this stuff, but it took a lot of like work and a lot of you know like pushing it uphill a bit with my sponsors to support me stopping the tour. And, it's always like there's a lot of work behind the scenes whenever you see someone doing something that works out really well. There's a lot of work involved. But yeah, I'm just like looking back on it, it was the right call for sure, which is always a good feeling, right? In life, like life is short. Like making the wrong call is not very fun. And we all do that sometimes. But when you look back and go, wow, that was like a really big decision I made. I wasn't sure at the time, and it was the right call. So,
Was there a lot of second guessing between like, because 5 years between quitting tour and finding Jaws as a paddle wave, like, was there any second guessing during that time?
no,
Because
I mean, I had no plan B, dude. I was like a surfer. That's all I knew how to do. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to transition into like this other thing where it's like this killer career. I'm going to have this killer job or something. I was just like, dude, all I know how to do is surf. And I really want to like do something I love to do. And it was like very simple. It was like really innocent at the time. It
It
wasn't like
sounds
super, it wasn't like super strategic or anything.
it sounds super simple when you say it, but like what were the conversations like? Because I can only imagine because it was such a new thing, no one had really done it. What was the conversations when you took the Billabong and like all your sponsors were they just like, what the fuck? Like, you want
A
to
little
go?
bit. The problem was there was no precedent. The,
Yeah.
when you quit the tour back then, you
It
went
was just
into obscurity. You
yeah,
were,
that's kind of what it's like. You just faded into the abyss.
yeah, and I wasn't like I couldn't say, hey, see this other guy, what he's doing. I kind of want to do what that person's doing. Um, Look at all the success that person is having. I couldn't. It was like if I had tried to use an example of someone who quit the tour, it was like these people would just disappear off the face of the earth. Um, and so I was like, look, like it's going to be a leap of faith on your part, but I am incredibly determined and really hyper motivated to do some really cool things. And I promise you, I'll be way more valuable off the tour than I am on. And I was just like really hyper motivated, and I didn't really ever overpromise
Yeah.
historically with them. So they like, but I will give them a lot of credit because they did believe in me and they stood behind me, and they were totally super enthusiastic at me stopping the tour. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way. So it was cool.
Was your campaign two closing segment, that was like kind of right after stopping the tour then, huh?
Yeah.
Where does that rank amongst things? Because for me, that was a big moment to watch. I don't know. That was, I mean, as far as like your accomplishments, I'd put that right up there with like that October 9th swell.
100%, man. That was like, I feel like this podcast is like my greatest hits or something. I feel like really bad talking about all this shit.
Yeah, we're here for it.
Don't worry. We
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we're gonna. There's some. No, there's no hard questions coming. Dude. Don't worry.
I feel like it's like I feel like it was going to be a lot tougher than this. I just feel like I'm talking about myself the whole time.
That's what a guest does, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're learning
No,
to
but
interview.
Oh, dude, we're pumping you up. Don't worry. I'm gonna deflate Albie a little bit, but yeah, we're just pumping you up. No, we
no,
love you,
but
man.
yeah, Albie, you're right though. Like when I look back at the things I've done in surfing that I'm really, really super proud of, to be honest, like getting the final part in campaign two is like bigger than is like it would have been like on par with winning the world title, believe it or not, at that time. Um,
100%.
at the at the time, Kelly had had the last part of every Taylor Steele movie for 10 years,
Yeah.
and so like it's funny, it's a kind of a crazy story. So back then, the movie would be finished, and Taylor, instead of releasing it, Taylor would do this like a tour, like a premiere tour of like 8 different nights in a row, like up and down California, showing it in like all these different places. And I went to like the first 5 of them just to support Taylor and support his film. And so did Kelly, so did Andy, so did Bruce, so did like Jamie O'Brien was there at all those. And it was such a big deal to be in Taylor's films, right? Just first of all, if you were in his films, you had a good contract. You couldn't buy your way into those films. Like he either put you in them or he didn't. He didn't
Yeah.
care who you were sponsored by. Sponsors weren't trying to get Taylor to put you in his movies. Like he either loved the way you surfed and wanted to include you or not. It was kind of gnarly, but so just to be in the movie was a big deal. And then at the time I wasn't young anymore. So I was like kind of fighting to get the very best section I could. And so, and Andy was, and Bruce was, and Kelly was, we were super competitive, but it was, everybody always knew that Kelly was always going to get the final section because he always did. And he was so much better than everybody. And so anyway, I'll cut to this, to the end. But so at the first premiere, and at the end of my filming, right before the cutoff date for filming, I went to Tahiti and I got like 3 crazy, gnarly, super heavy waves, and they got into my section, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so stoked because those waves like really ramped up my section, made it like more exciting, and it was really, there's a lot of variety. There was like backside airs and frontside airs and barrels and turns, and I was just super stoked on my section, right? Because I put a ton of work into it, as you guys know how hard that is to do. Um, and I was like, yes, I finally have a section I'm super proud of. And I went to the first premiere. It was in like LA, like Malibu or something. And I had like the third to last section, which I could not believe because like it ramped up at the end. It was like it got gnarlier and gnarlier and gnarlier. And then the last guy had the gnarliest section always. And I could not believe I had the third to the last section. I baffled, like, holy shit. And so I was like, it was such a win. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I was like right there with like Bruce and Andy and Kelly.
That's sick.
And then, and then, and then the next time it was like in Solana Beach at the, I forget the theater, the name, but the right there where all those surf films were always at. And
Aloha.
we went, and it was like the next night or a couple nights later, and we're all there again, and we're having a couple beers, and we were all there like cheering for Taylor because it was like in his hometown, and there was like this, the place was completely packed, and I remember just like this crazy electric energy. Um, and the movie was really good. Like everyone had 6 sections, and so anyway, it came time. I was watching it, and Taylor Steele came up to me, and he was kind of loose. He had a lot of beers, And he was like, "You're gonna really love it tonight." And I was like, "Oh, Taylor's had a lot of beers. Like, I've already seen it." And I've already seen the movie. You know what I mean? I've already seen it. It's sick. I do love it. And all of a sudden, it was supposed to be my part, and it was like Bruce's part. And I was like, I swear this is supposed to be my section. And then it got to Andy's part. And I was like, it's weird. I'm like getting emotional right now. It's like that nuts. And I remember like going, what the fuck? My part's gone. And then like Andy and Bruce and like Kelly were all there, and they all came over to me, and they were like, started like hugging me. And then I had the last section.
Holy
That's
yeah.
dude. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I just goosebumps
Yeah.
out that shit, dude.
And I guess what happened with Andy and those guys were telling me is like they legit thought I should have had the last section. So they talked to Taylor afterward, after they saw the first one of it. They said, we think Shane should have the last section.
Are you serious, man? That is the coolest story ever.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was, not only was it like the craziest accomplishment ever for me from a surfing career standpoint, but also that like all those guys, like, you know, it was a lot of egos at that time. Like we're all super competitive, and it's really difficult to like get everybody to like put their egos away for a moment. And so like for those guys to like make the case that I should have the last part, like meant a lot to me.
That's the best way that could have possibly happened. It was like you
For
got picked
sure.
by your peers for it, not just
Yeah.
Taylor.
And not to mention, like, the peers at that stage feel like the
Yeah.
pinnacle. Like, you know, that's insane.
But yeah, so to answer your question, Albie, that was like a 10 out of 10, like top moment in my career for sure.
Wow. Okay, good. I was worried that because I don't know if you remember when we were in Scotland, I put one of your songs on from a movie part with you and Taylor in the car, and neither of you recognized it. And it was like a very iconic part in my life. And I was like, what the fuck? Do these guys even care?
It's not that we didn't care, but like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess there was a lot of those movies too. There was a lot of the movies, like, you know, Taylor had like 8 or 10 movies in a row. So like trying to keep all the songs straight was not
I
that
can
easy.
tell you every one of your songs from every one of those movies.
That's cool because it just that's how pivotal pivotal on the next generation of
Right.
surfing. That's
And
sick.
that's something that I really miss. You know, I think a lot of people who are listening to this that are older can really relate to that. Like it was such a big deal when those films came out because there was no other content out there. We weren't doom scrolling surf porn 24 hours a day of A plus clip after A plus clip. We didn't
Yeah.
have that. So like kids like Albie and you guys were like watching those films going like, wow, these guys are the best surfers, and look at this guy's part. Like then they watch the, you know, all the kids then they would watch those parts religiously and get psyched to go surfing, and they would memorize people's parts, and they knew every single wave that was coming up, and everybody's song. Like it was such a big deal, and it was just a really special time in surfing. I feel like you guys are like the last generation to really enjoy that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I remember it was just like I feel like because surfing progresses now, but it's in a weird, different way. Where like back when those films came out, it was like the whole year everyone was kind of surfing the same, and that film came out, and then like if you went to like your local spot 2 weeks after one of those films, everyone was trying something new,
That's
like all the
sick.
drop stuff,
Yeah.
like it was just like it was just leaped. Like I remember that for
Yeah.
campaign 1, campaign 2, especially Stranger Than Fiction, like all those. I remember just
Yeah,
like
that's
all
so
showing
sick.
different stuff.
That was a great chapter in surf history for sure, man. I'm stoked to
Great.
be a part of it.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man. How does it like? I guess one thing I wanted to talk about, like seeing, like being as pivotal as you were.
What's up with you in that word?
I don't know, it's a tongue twister. But like, how do you like having a family and all that, navigating family life? Because like for me, when I was on tour, a big part of me, like kind of losing my love for surfing competitively was like having a family. Did that ever affect when you were on tour? Did that? Because were you having kids like as you were as you were like losing your love for the tour as well? Were you like focusing on
No,
family
so
life?
I waited until I was done competing before I had kids.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but it also like kind of wreaked havoc on my mental state surfing big waves.
I
It was
could imagine
really it
because
was
you're like
really really hard to focus and go all in on surfing big waves, feeling like irresponsible as a father, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's why you probably made that vest that saved everyone's lives.
100%. And then
Yeah. That made
again,
Jaws way more crowded.
moving the needle.
Blew it.
But, like being you, and like that's the crazy thing to me, because like um in like kind of embarking on like trying to paddle a few times the Jaws, it's like it's so crazy how it made it so much more accessible for people with not the right talent level.
Oh yeah,
Like,
for sure.
do you
Well,
ever
it's
get do you get like do you ever see people out there be like, you should not fucking be out here?
Yeah, of course. But at the same time, like there's all anytime you introduce something new
Yeah.
into anything, whether that's like something that makes things safer, like
Yeah.
race car driving or whatever it is, like you're always going to get something that's going to be it's going to impact it in a good way, and it's going
Yeah.
to impact it in a bad way, always.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
called the Passman effect. I knew this because I asked this question to an economic podcast. And I
yeah,
was like, seatbelts were the most classic example of that because everyone thought you're going to drive so fast that the roads were actually going to be more dangerous.
right.
But every time it's a net positive or pretty much a
That's
net.
exactly right. You have to remember, like the net positive is the big one, LB. Like
Yeah, big one.
think of
That's everything about it.
think of all the people that would have died
Yeah,
if that wasn't there. Honestly, like
I
it's
might have been there.
really, really hard to die with one of those suits on. Really hard. Like really would have a lot of weird shit would have to sort of go wrong. And the proof is in the pudding because we've never had someone pass away wearing it. There's been some close calls and stuff, but just in general, if it works correctly and it's operational, you're coming to the surface, and if you're on the surface, they're going to find you fairly quickly. So it makes it safer, and then also, like, from a surf performance standpoint, like, think of all the crazy waves that people have gone on that no chance you would ever go on those waves without it.
Oh, that's kind of how I felt being out there. I'm like, oh, I've got this thing. I've got this safety harness basically attached to my back. I'm good.
And
Have
the
you ever?
performances, like the
Yeah.
imagine how committed Albie is when it's big, and how
It's
committed
insane, dude. I've seen it with my own
Billy
two.
is, and Kai and those guys. You can't commit that hard without it.
I agree. I agree. It's probably one of the I think the best thing.
What would you think if I like went out there
Science,
without one just to surf differently? Do you think it would be just stupid? Because I've always thought of that. Like I wanted to do it
Yes.
on a day that was like,
Especially the way you surf it,
no,
dude.
but I'm saying
Of course it would be stupid.
a day that wasn't firing or whatever. I've always thought like, oh, I kind of want to go out there and just have a little impact vest and just like I would surf differently, but just to experience it in a different way. Because for
Dude,
me,
you
there's
freaking
parts of it I
you would
miss.
die.
I didn't have a vest that October swell when you got your crazy wave, and I got one of the best waves of my whole life.
I think that you'd be fine in general, in most cases. And this is going to sound super weird, but at Jaws specifically, on the West Bowl, the way the wave breaks, it has a super intense impact and then goes super mellow fairly quick at the end. Like, so if you take off where you normally take off, Albie, and you get super barreled and then you eat shit, yeah, you get pounded, but it's not the same as eating shit at the peak where it's apexing into itself. Like, if you go on like a 25 footer from the deep part and you eat shit on the drop, you're gonna drown, dude, with no vest on.
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I
There's only
do.
one way to find out, but I really,
No,
it,
I have an exact wave where Tom Lowe and Tori took off and they both went. And I remember watching Tom Lowe come up in like 5 seconds and Tori just got smoked all the way in. So I think it depends on the wave sometimes.
I think you should do it, and if you do it, you should
Hey, I saw that
smoke
on the North
meth.
Sea.
You should smoke meth before doing it because, dude, I used to watch Flea out at Mavericks, and the shit he used to do with no vest was insane, and the
I,
confidence that he had was through the roof. So
yeah.
Far out, man. I don't know. It's so hard to work backwards, like knowing that it's there and just being like, yeah, you know what?
Well, no,
I'm not
I
gonna
just
use
think
it. Yeah, you're right. You need to pick
this.
up the meth pipe instead of in.
there's zero chance you're gonna surf the same, Albie. I mean, I could be wrong, but I would bet my life savings on it that you're not gonna have the same attack mode. You're not gonna have the same
No, but
confidence. You're not gonna be locked in as hard if a freaking 25 footer comes.
no. I agree with that. But that's part of my thing is like, is I take a lot of, well, because I think a lot about my brain health and I have so many more concussions because I'm not scared of drowning. So like
Yeah.
I remember going 2 or 3 seasons when I was just wearing a little XL vest without fucking falling once. And I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't get it crazy of waves, but I was like, my body took no damage. And I
Yeah.
was like, so there's like, it's just something I'm not like super into it. I was just curious what you thought about it. Like, it's not like I'm
Yeah.
gonna go. It's just an interesting thought, I thought.
It is. And I think on smaller days, you probably get away with it just fine. And especially if you're a strategic about the waves that you go on and you're pretty choosy. And I think you probably wouldn't fall that much. And if you did, you'd probably fall at the very end of the wave and it would be pretty mellow.
Yeah, exactly. I think it would be like it could be a net positive on smaller days because like when it's small, like and I have a vest, like I feel too invincible sometimes, and I feel like I make a lot of dumb mistakes. So that's just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we
What?
talk about the void you left out of Jaws when you guys finished?
Yeah.
You know, like, dude, John had the funniest quote. When I was like hanging with him yesterday, we were talking about like just some Jaws drama that had been going on. Uh, but he's like, he just kind of like snapped at me out of nowhere. It's like, you know what your guys' problem is? Is you, Billy, and Kai, and Ian all think you run Jaws. And I was like, dude, you're totally right. But it was like, it was a trippy thing when you and kind of Greg and like Twiggy and just and even Healy and stuff like that kind of crew left. Bro, there was
Yeah.
like a crazy like clamoring, like just everyone trying to grab the throne in a weird way that's like never been sorted out. And
That's
like,
funny.
and it,
It's like the cartel guy gets killed, like the head of the cartel, and then everybody scraps.
yeah, you're fucking El Chapo, dude.
So is there
I
anyone
never I never
who?
thought about that, but yeah, because I haven't been there much right afterwards. But I mean, from what I see, like you guys are crushing it, and I mean, I think that healthy competition, that competitive vibe between all of you top guys out there is rad. It's rad to watch from the sidelines as a fan. It's rad. Like you guys push each other like crazy. It would suck if there was only one of you and then there was a bunch of scrubs out there.
Okay, so within saying that, top three right now, modern era of this modern day surfing of Jaws. Who's your top three? You reckon, Shayna?
Oh, he'd have to leave someone out to do that. You can do it to me. It's fine, Shane.
No, let's open up top five then. We'll go top five. Top five.
Oh, that's pretty easy, I think. Um, that's actually not that easy. But
You know, I
honestly,
never
like I think,
hard, Shane. I just want you to know that.
well, it's obviously like I think Billy and Albie and Kai are in the top three.
Yeah.
And I think if you asked 100 people, that everybody would have um a different top person. I honestly think that like the shit that Kai has done out there, like his pinnacle points over the last like 8 years are pretty gnarly, man.
Yeah.
Um, and his approach is so weird and so different and so hard to like understand because of his background and different like wind sports and stuff. But like
Yeah.
I think top five is like obviously Albie's there, Billy's there, Kai's there. Um, and then it gets murky, I think. Um, I'm trying to think. Like consistency wise, it's hard.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There's been so many good efforts over the last there's been so many good performances and there's so many guys that
yeah,
Because Ian
Ian
had the
Step.
craziest year ever during El Nino, and that was like a
Ian,
crazy.
Ian, when you stack up his best rides, is way up there. And then the other person, I would say, well, the person who had the top craziest wave I've ever seen out there is Twiggy. His
Why?
wave, I think, is the gnarliest wave any humans ever caught with their bare hands.
He fell. I fucking
Yeah,
hate that he did that wave credit, dude. He fucking fell, and he like
dude.
he
What?
on that wave, you would have made that drop so much easier and made the barrel. I hate that we give a wave that was a mistake so much credit.
It's not that he fell. The fact that he almost made it doesn't even bother me. It's the fact that if you put even all those guys I just said, the top five, in his spot when that wave came in, maybe a one other person might have turned around and went if I was gonna like put my money on it.
And who would
I would
that
have
person
fucking
be?
gone.
He's crazy, dude. Hey, you say that now, but when a 30-foot double up,
30-foot
when
closeout that day.
when a 30-foot double up comes your way, it's talk is cheap, dude. Like he doesn't have to talk. He did it.
Do you reckon
Yeah.
Albie would go?
Try and watch that wave again.
I've
Try
watched
and
it a
watch that wave
thousand.
again.
Do you reckon Albie would go, Shane?
I mean, that's just like speculation. It's you
Yeah.
don't know. I like to think that I would go if I was like in my prime, but man, that wave was really different. Very few waves that I've ever seen anyone ever paddle like match up to that wave, ever.
That's pretty. Yeah, it wasn't for
That's
me
just my
as a.
personal. That's just my personal.
Yeah,
I tend to think of not the barrels so much like barrels, like comparing it from a barrel standpoint, but just the 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 giantness and the terrifying element of that particular wave and the shape of it. How when he paddled into it, he had no chip shot. It was a straight up double up. And like there was a really high probability that he was going to eat shit super bad on that wave. Is very similar to that wave that Nathan Florence got at Chopo on his backhand years ago paddling. It was like he was almost certain that he was going to have a horrible wipeout and went. And that's how Twiggy's wave was.
that's insane. So top five is Billy, Albie, Kai in those particular order, and Twiggy.
I think Twiggy's up there.
That's a solid top five.
Yeah. What do you think, Albie?
I would throw Greg way above Twiggy. And
Yeah.
his like the waves he caught, like that wave he caught the day after in October where he like just fell out of the end of the barrel, because that was different than falling on the
Yeah.
wave. He finished the wave and he didn't get pounded or anything.
It's easy. Yeah, it's easy to put Greg in that conversation as well. He's a hammer for sure.
That's what I like about what you said. It gets so murky at the Form 5 because you're like, gosh, there are so many guys who could kind of fit that void right
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
Does
Yeah.
Jackson have any? I think I asked you this before. Does he have any desire to go out there and surf?
No,
Really? Do you think he will one day?
no. He's like a high performance surfer. He's focused on like he just has no I don't think he has a desire to surf it. And then I don't think I've had anything to do with it, to be honest, but I think I've done a good job of taking pressure off him thinking about it because
Yeah.
I've always been like, like if it's not really what you want to do, then you shouldn't do it. And
Yeah.
and I've actually really tried to convince some of Jackson's friends to go over there, like Legend Chandler and
Yeah.
and like
Brody.
Luke, yeah, like Luke Tima and Nalu, some of the younger guys on Oahu that are surf really good in bigger waves. I've tried to convince them to go to Jaws recently because I know that they actually do want it, and those guys would be gnarly out there. But yeah, Jackson could do it, but unless you have the desire and it's in your heart, you shouldn't be out there. He would be
Right.
another one of those guys who's doing it for the wrong reasons, and that would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions. Just being you and having a son who's kind of following in the competitive footsteps. Like how do you go about like managing his expectations on the whole QS, like chasing the QS and tour life and all that?
That's a hard question, Jack.
Super hard because I'm a parent myself, and like one of the learning from
Yeah,
you, I feel like this is
not a hard question. It's just like it's a tough one because Jackson's gone through a lot of adversity. It sounds super funny, like people listening to this are like, that kid's not gone through any adversity. Um, because he's been super lucky in life for sure. But like from a competitive standpoint, he hasn't had a lot of success, and he's had a ton of like hard losses that he really takes tough. Like he's one of those, we've all about we're all
yeah.
sore losers, right? We all hate losing, but he really, really he's been doing a lot of losing the last few years, and he has a lot of friends that have been doing a lot of winning, and
Yeah.
he's really good friends with Aaron Brooks and Dane Henry and a lot of these people that are qualifying and making on the like the Challenger Series and making on the CT, winning CTs at 17 years old, stuff like that. So, yeah, he's part of a friend group that is all like really good at competing, and he hasn't really found his footing at competing yet. And so I've been trying to just be a voice of reason of like, dude, like, and when you're losing, you feel like you you don't have anything to give and you don't belong, and like you get imposter syndrome of like, wow, like I can't believe I have sponsors and I'm losing, like all that stuff starts coming to play. Like we've all been there, every last person. But when it's
100%.
happening to you, you feel like you're the only one that's ever felt like that. And it's
Yeah.
horrible. Um, and it could get depressing if it happens over and over and over for years, literally. So he's been going through a lot, and I'm proud of him because he still has a crazy joy of surfing. Like he just broke his jaw and had his jaw was wired shut for 8 weeks straight, where he was
Ouch.
literally sipping his food for 8 weeks. And
Yeah.
his
How do you do
board
that?
hit him in the jaw. And
Oh my
um,
goodness.
so he couldn't surf for a while, and he was like stuck at home, bummed out. And then, but now he's got a couple surf trips that he's going on, and he's so excited to go surfing again and so fired up to surf with good surfers. And I don't know, it's just, but yeah, to answer your question, Jack, managing that is more or less like being a father, like being like, hey, like, dude, you know how lucky you are to be able to go surfing like all the time. Like,
Yeah.
even erase that it's currently your job. But like
Yeah.
the fact that you just get to go surfing every day, dude, like literally there's like drone strikes happening on this earth right now, and you're going surfing like, fuck, we're so lucky, like crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
this world that we're in is so insane and so crazy. It's hard to believe. So all of us that are not living in a third world country where, there's like drone strikes happening, and we don't have anything to do with it, but people are getting blown up and people are fighting over like crazy stuff, man. I can't believe we're living on the same earth as people that are
Yeah.
dealing with that. And I just think it's important to keep that perspective of like how lucky we are. I can go outside right now and go for a surf, or go,
Yeah.
go golfing, or go hang out with my friends. And it's just like you gotta keep it in perspective. But when you're 19 years old and all you care about is surfing, and you've always dreamt of being a pro surfer and on the tour, it's, when it's not happening, it's not easy. So
Yeah. I mean, that was a sick answer. For me, it felt like you've done a really good job at managing his expectations with appreciation, which I think is like so cool. I feel like that was a really cool answer.
it's hard, being a father is
Yeah.
hard when your kid's going through a tough patch, like a really tough go. Um, you know, it's it's it gets real, you know what I mean? And you never, the worst thing ever is like to see your kid get hurt or in pain or not successful or having their dreams crushed over and over and not knowing what to tell them. But like I think adversity is really good for our kids. I talk about that a lot with people, but like my kid breaking his jaw, or my kid having like 100 first round losses, like as horrible and as how bad it hurts and crushes your heart every time. l- Hardship in our lives is really good. Not having an easy life is really good. Like getting uncomfortable is where all the growth comes from. That's how the people that we all look up to, like the only way they got there is through tons of experiences of them putting themselves in really hard situations and failing a lot and not giving up. So I think it's good with when our kids, like as a father, I think it's good for your kids to go through a lot of adversity, but it's the hardest thing ever to allow them to do so.
Yeah, I could only imagine, man.
Yeah.
It seems like for me, I feel like Jacko is still really like he's really young, and I feel like he'll bounce back from this, and he's got all the potential to make a
Yeah, he's
huge.
also having fun, dude. He's so
Mate,
excited
that's
about like
yeah, that's
surfing.
the main thing. If they're having fun, dude, like that is the coolest thing in the world.
I
I
want to
told
surf
him,
with
I'm
that.
like, dude, and I'm like, dude, life is short. Like
Yeah,
if you get to go on surf trips with your buddies, and we get to do a couple surf trips once a year, I mean, that's huge, dude. We're gonna remember that for the rest of our lives. And so like just really appreciate all the opportunities you get and surf as much as you possibly can.
yeah, that's awesome, man. That is so freaking cool.
I love that. We could probably let you go there though.
Yeah,
That kind of
dude.
good wrap up.
Sick. Well,
Love
congrats
it.
you guys on the podcast. Congratulations on the new show. I'm so psyched for you guys. You guys are great at it.
Thank you, brother. That
Thank
was
you,
awesome, dude.
sure.
Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. You know it's valuable, dude.
I know. We know you're still
And you're
working at the
staying
surf
shiny,
industry.
dude. Staying 100. That's a good thing. I
I'm
still think
always
about
I'm
all the
I'm always
guys.
stoked to talk to you too, man. So
Yeah, every single time I hear a Rick Ross song, I think of you.
ditto.
Yeah, you wanna plug your fitness app? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Hang on. Talk to us about what you got going on.
no, I
Like, you know,
hear about it.
yeah. With
Are you
the
serious?
No,
yeah.
I really do.
I loved your post, by the way, Albie. That was amazing.
Did you like that? I was hoping you got one subscriber from it, and then you'd find it funny.
I love it, dude. I love it. But you know that I would definitely put myself out there with this, and like it's whenever you do that, like a lot of people are gonna troll you and heckle you, and the only way to not get haters and trolls is not getting out of your comfort zone. So yeah, I recently started doing some online fitness coaching. So
Yeah.
my clients are men in their 40s and 50s who want to stay in shape or get more in shape for all different kinds of reasons, but mainly for surfing.
Yeah.
So like a lot of my guys are like people who have families and they work super hard but they want to go to Indo once a year or go to Mexico once a year and they are super psyched to get super fit for their surf trip. And so it's really fun. I love I've been super into fitness for a long time and I'm really into like longevity and wellness and stuff in my own life. I'm like obsessed with it. So it makes a lot of sense. And I've been coaching, surfers and I was coached at the Olympics and stuff. And I love coaching people. So like, like those two worlds are kind of coming together and it just makes a lot of sense. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You should I don't yeah. It's something that now that I'm a little bit older and like mid-30s, like we asked everyone who what they would give their younger self advice.
Yeah.
I wish more than anything I like took care of my body the way I do now, like 10 years ago. Are you ever thinking about expanding it to like a ground thing too?
I mean, no, I'm not, but there's a zillion fitness coaches out there, right? And there's
Yeah,
actually
it's like my point is like they might listen to you. Like yeah, like Tori did, like presentation to Dorian. Yeah, like I don't know. There's because yeah, I just wish no one really told me, or like even surf culture at the time, like there was only a couple of people that were training all the time, and I didn't want to fucking surf like them. Like
Mm.
I wanted to
you know
surf like
when you're younger, you don't have an appreciation for how important it actually is.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it's not really a thing you can communicate to like younger kids in a meaningful way, or it's like
Yeah,
really hard to do.
and like Albie, like you thought we were kooks for training back then. You know what I mean? It felt kooky, like in surfing. Like if a guy was training super hard, like they seemed like a kook back then. Where like now it's like you see these people that like I think when I was like 20, I remember being on the tour. I'm going back now again. Remember being on the tour when I was like 21 and Potts was like 27. And I remember him retiring and me and Kelly were like, can you believe how old Potts is? Everybody thought Potts was super old and he was 27. Gerlach, he retired at like 28 years old. Dude, like they were retiring from the tour like at their highest level when they were like 28 years old. They were like in their 20s. And
I mean,
like,
they weren't even at prime yet,
yeah,
essentially.
that's right. And so like I guess what I'm saying is now you realize like that like our prime is way longer and later than we all thought. And if you take care of yourself in an intentional way, you can like extend not only your career, but just your stoke and your ability to go surfing with your kids. And like,
Yeah.
I want to go snowboarding with my kids when I'm in my late 60s. I want to be shredding down the mountain. I want to be doing surf trips in Mexico and Indo for the rest of my freaking life. And I won't be able to unless I take care of my body. So it's just that simple to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'm like a perfect case of just someone who was just so stupid about that, and then like I guess it was hip surgery that made me see the light. But like it's
Yeah.
something like oh, I wish I could communicate what I learned to younger people, like, but I just don't know if you can. I think it's something
Albie,
you kind of have to figure out on your own on some level.
Albie, the way that I discovered that I have some sort of interest in doing what I'm doing now, you could be having that moment in the next few years, dude. That could be something that I know it sounds weird, but I had this moment not that long ago, like 5, 6 months ago, where I was like, it went from like, that's super weird to even consider that to now I'm doing it. I have a full on business. It's wild, but like maybe that's something that you're passionate about. Maybe like share your love for freaking getting in shape and your fitness and your longevity with the
Yeah.
younger generation, dude. It's freaking sick.
Look at what you do.
Well, yeah, I'm also like a newly sober person and turning over these different leaves, which is a whole other story. I'm eventually going to tell this podcast that didn't end well for me.
But even better, dude.
Yeah.
Even more so. That's even like that's a stronger message that resonates with that many more people. That's
I
even
agree,
more
yeah.
reason. But if you're passionate about helping people, dude, and you're living your life that way and it's authentic, it's fucking real, dude. Sick.
Yeah. Well, this podcast is one thing that I did not. It took them a long time for me to buy into this.
Yeah,
I was
a
like,
lot of
oh yeah, like
convincing.
I need to fucking talk more. All I do is get in trouble when I do that. But well, I mean, it's been really freaking fun so far, and like, yeah, and plus you don't get to have like this is one of the only like setups where you have like 2 hour conversations where no one's looking at their phone or anything.
Yeah.
Unless you've been scrolling this whole time.
And
Yeah,
like we
you've been
said, like I was saying earlier, like just like getting out of our comfort zones is where all the magic happens. So like for you guys, you guys are getting out of your comfort zone. That's awesome, dude. So congrats.
I went
I
to a
want to be
music.
back on your show at some point in the future. I want to do your show again.
so many more questions to ask you, but I feel like that's up on another podcast in
Yeah,
itself.
we want next time you're home, we want to get you in person. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, we gotta
Okay.
get you here.
All right, I'll come in the studio.
Yeah, this would be so sick.
Yeah,
Hey, thank you so much.
New pie chart with like fitness, media. I want the investments like Nathan Florence.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
so
All
good.
right.
Love you, Shane. You're the man.
Love you guys. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. Thank you, brother.
All right.